and we have to share our surgery.
Okay then, well, I'll just have a quick conversation with yourself about it, because you are a councillor for my area, aren't you?
Yeah.
Miss Jennings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's leave all the fact that I keep speaking to Tom about this. There's the court order, the only court order that there is, actually for my daughter, as you can see. So I've asked Tom to produce me one of them, or Liverpool City Council.
Right.
He can't produce one. As you can see, the mother's mentally unwell, still to today.
Hold on a second. Can I just have a quick read?
Well, you've had them for 7 months now. I sent them to you and to Tom personally 7 months ago.
Sorry, I thought you said this was a new one.
No, I'm just going through like just the background of it,
Okay,
before we have a.
Can I just check? That this is definitely going through Liverpool.
Yeah, that was dealt with by Judge Their Honour the Ash Liverpool Court, Liverpool family.
Court, but
yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean it's Liverpool City
the children are back
Council.
living in Liverpool. The children are back living in the Liverpool area, which Liverpool Social Services are lying about, saying that they're not living in this area.
Do you know where they are?
No, because
Okay.
they're using abusive powers which don't exist to keep them away from me.
Okay.
Right,
Well,
and then
you can actually ask.
I've asked everything.
No, hang on. You can ask the police to do a welfare visit
I,
on your
I,
child.
if you just let me finish and let me give you the background. So Tom and yourself have already said you can't help me with that matter. The fact that I'm the only one with a court order, and I've got the government ombudsman claiming that they've got a court order. I asked Tom for a copy of it last week by email. He said he can't produce it. He hasn't even seen it. So there's one issue that I'd like you just to put behind us. You can't help me with that. You're admitting you can't help me. You can't enforce the law.
No.
You can't help me get enforced law. You can't put me in touch with the family liaisons minister. You can't put me in touch with the justice minister or anything. I've sent Tom copies of all my emails, and none of these people will respond to me, even though I am lawfully the only one with all this. Right? So you can't help me with none of that, with the fact that my children should be with me. Whenever I go to try and find out about my children and enforce this in the courts, I keep getting accused of being aggressive and violent, and the CCTV, as you can see, keeps going missing. So if I've got nothing to hide and that's the only court order, every time I go in a court building to try and get these, they're making up claims saying that I'm being violent and aggressive. That's why I have to get my phone out when I go to places for my own protection, because all these public cameras keep going missing. So you can't help me with none of that. The fact that I'm being totally set up by the British government, the fact that I've even showed Tom the fact that I've got 6 different statements all claiming to start at different times and stuff like that. Let's put that behind us. You can't help with my adoption. The fact that, as you can see on these, 1985, that's the first start of my medical records. 1985, a fostered child. As you can quite clearly see there, adopted child. I haven't got no access to these places, have I? I can't go onto the system, especially when I was only age 3. I couldn't go onto the systems and make these things happen, right?
Where were you living at this time?
With my adopted parents, who's not adopted yet in Highton, but it was through Liverpool City Council, because I was adopted from Daysbrook area, which is classed as Liverpool. So it should have been through Liverpool. I was born in Mill Road supposedly, but I can't find on that. As you can,
I must admit, I thought Highton would be under notice.
It is, but Liverpool City Council were the ones who removed me from my parents, from my birth mother, because she lived in Liverpool, but I was adopted to a family in Highton. So that's where it becomes conflict of boundaries.
Yeah,
but as you can
we're struggling, is because I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, well, as you can see, all my medical records claim to be Bradley Conley. Right. That can only be changed on medical records through adoption, through a legal process, which I couldn't have been involved in, because as you can see, all the dates and all these, I'm still a child. So, there's the adoption charity that I've been in touch with. I've been everywhere. I've been through Liverpool City Council. No one can find any records of me that I even exist, never mind that as adoption or foster records. So I'm in a position now where I'm fighting for my children who are with the mother who had a fractured skull with, who's already had one child removed off by Liverpool City Council, and she still hasn't got back because she stabbed her own mother in front of that child. So let's put all these issues behind us and let's start afresh. Let me get back to what, as you can see, the British justice system are trying to make out that I'm going around claiming to be something, saying I'm the chosen one. No, I'm looking into my adoption. As you can quite clearly see, I'm adopted by a lady called Mary. I'm not hiding none of these facts. It's your systems that are hiding all these. The systems that you stand behind.
We don't have access to.
But you're part of that network, aren't you? You are a councillor who's paid for out of public pot, so you are part of this network. So let's just put all this behind me. The fact that you're slandering me, making me look mad, saying that I'm going around saying I'm the chosen one, because I'm looking into my adoption through from...
Who says you're the chosen?
Well, this is Merseyside Police can't give me a phone record of this phone call, even though it's meant to be a 999 call.
Can I just...
Well, you've had all these for 7 months.
Well, I know
7 months ago, I
sent
sent these to you, yourself and Tom. This is now the 4th meeting I've had with you.
I think, Bradley, because you...
No, because I'm not doing nothing, love.
No, but there are 2 issues here. One
No,
is
there's more than 2.
children. So...
I'm not making either of them up, though. Okay. You're the ones who are bringing them up. As Tom said in the last meeting, as Tom said, and we've got him recorded saying in the last interview, as he said himself, every time I'm getting somewhere, the council and the government keep throwing more obstacles in front of me to try and make me look mad. Well, as you can see, let's forget about all these issues. Let's forget about my life, right? Okay. So let's get to the bottom of this. You can't help me with none of this. You won't do the job what you're paid for. So can we talk?
But haven't been able to.
Well, that's the same thing as won't, because technically you should go higher up the level. That's the whole point of a ward councillor.
Been to the MP?
I've been to everyone and no one will respond to me. You're the only people. This is public surgery, isn't it, for members of the public? Yeah. So I'm one of your constituents. Okay. So I'm coming in here as a member of the public saying, where do I turn for help? You're telling me nowhere. So
we said that you need legal advice.
Why do we need legal advice? I've got all the legal paperwork.
They can tell you where the faults are in all this paperwork.
I don't need no legal advice for this.
We're not lawyers. We don't have access to this kind of thing. We don't have
You're meant to. You're meant to be banging this drum. You're meant to be. So this isn't worrying you, the fact that I've showed you all the paperwork and Tom's got it. Do you want me to get them out? Do you want me to get statements out proving that Liverpool City Council's own words, where like the mother of my children who now illegally work stabbed their own mother, and you haven't had that.
So right back to the beginning of the conversation, you said let's put all that aside.
Yeah, well let's put all that aside, right? What I've come to talk about today is using the Green Party, aren't you? Yeah. Tom's the regional leader.
He's the group leader on the city council.
Yeah.
He leads a group of 4 people.
Well, I'd just like to know why the Green Party aren't talking about chemtrails, because your constituents are the highest level of cancer in Europe. Liverpool's the cancer capital of Europe, plus Alzheimer's is rapidly increasing in this city. And every brain scan of every person to do with Alzheimer's has got high traces of aluminium in their brain. Well, we're being sprayed daily by NASA scientists and by the Ministry of Defence, which have got all the legal paperwork there. I can prove it to you. They've openly admitted it. And why aren't you telling this to the British public, that we're being sprayed with aluminium fragments that we're then breathing in, which is causing all these problems, with the fact that Liverpool gets the least daylight in Europe and it's got the highest cancer. This is what I don't know about the least daylight in Europe. It technically does. It gets about 4 to 6 hours a day during summertime. Down south gets about 8 to 12 hours a day. Okay. You know what I mean? We are the most sunlight deprived city because of chemtrails. We've got the highest cancer rate. We've got one of the highest. We do have high cancer rates. That's true, but it's mainly down to lifestyle, and pollution from traffic. It's got nothing to do with chemtrails, with aluminium fragments coming into people's bodies and the body's trying to push it out. It's got nothing to do with the fact that the day cancer was found in 1939, it was actually if we live in an alkaline environment, people won't get cancer. So if Liverpool City Council were banging the drum from the start and educating children correctly that we shouldn't be eating food with preservatives in and we should be eating locally grown food, if they be educating people properly, none of these issues would be a problem in our city. The council can... fluoride in the water is a big issue as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? High levels of acid in the fluoride. There's no extra fluoridation in Liverpool's water. The full country is though, isn't it? The full country is fluoride. Occurs naturally to a certain degree. It doesn't decay naturally. It's put in. It's an element, yeah, but it's put into our water systems. The first time it was used in some areas of the country, but not everywhere. And this is fluoridation is a hotly debated topic, and I've raised it in the health committee and said, are there any plans at any point? Have you decided, well, are we going to get extra fluoride in our water? And the answer is categorically no. But it's already in the water systems, isn't it? It's being put in during the process of cleaning the water. It's not being put directly in. It's claiming that it's using to kill the bacteria, but the bacteria is actually good for us. That's why. I don't think so. Well, it is. It's being put in. I've got photographs from many water companies where you can see stacks of fluoride being delivered daily. You know what I mean? Which water companies are these? Or quite a lot throughout the country. Right. Throughout the country. But let's get back to the same issue about the chemtrails and the spraying of aluminium onto this city daily. Yeah. I've got videos from the past 2 years of 30 to 40 planes circling Liverpool daily. That's why we don't get no sunlight, because they're spraying us with aluminium fragments and all kind of.
Planes going to and from the airport.
Well, how many planes? There's
no. Manchester Airport and Liverpool Airport.
This is a no-fly zone. This is a no-fly zone.
No, that's not true.
It's a no-fly zone. You don't fly over the direct route to the airport, and plus the only flight path going past Liverpool is Ireland and then the Americas. And I don't think that every airplane coming across the country would be directed to fly across Liverpool's airport. You know, when they can go 10 miles south through Wales or 10 miles north and avoid all major airports. There's no reason for them.
Have you got the flight paths?
Yeah, I've got the flight paths. I've got the flight paths. I've actually got the data of the air traffic control units, where it gives you a live feed of what planes are in the skies above you, and none of these planes are registered. None of these planes are showing up on that live map. None of these planes are registered on these things. They're not commercial jets. They're government jets. They're government jets. So
how do you know the government jets?
Because who else can fly above the country spraying this thing?
You need to investigate who they belong.
Well, I don't need to investigate. You're the Green Party, love. I don't need to do anything. I've done my part. I'm bringing you the thing saying, why aren't you researching this? So, you know, that last comment's just totally bewildered me.
What I'm saying is you've made a statement.
No, I'm not making a statement. We know. I have got the facts. Do you want me to get on the internet now? Do you want me to open the computer up now and show you very live that NASA and the British government are admitted to spraying us with aluminium fragments daily to block the sunlight, and them aluminium fragments are then getting breathed in by the British public, and it's creating Alzheimer's and brain diseases left, right and centre.
And I'll just say again that there's far more pollution at ground level.
Because it's fallen down. Because it's fallen down.
Coming out of things like those buses, the cars. There is
so what you're saying is it's okay for the British government to spray us with aluminium fragments because there's far more coming from things.
That the evidence is greatly stacked towards individuals.
Well, hasn't it been proven that
smoking, eating badly, drinking too much alcohol, all of these things are lifestyle that people do, and they are. I agree that there are faults within our food system, definitely.
Yeah.
We eat far too much processed food.
It shouldn't be
available. We're driven to time-saving devices so we can go out and make money. And so we buy instant food, we buy fast food, and that kind of thing, and it's all leading to inevitable downfall.
But this is it, though.
There's 1/3 of the children in the city are now obese because they're eating so much fast food and taking in too many additives, chemicals, sugars, and salt. And they're not getting the exercise they used to get because the government has reduced the amount of sports facilities in schools.
These additives were only added to our food after the 1939 Cancer Act. Previous to that, previous to Dr. Oslo, is it, who done the cancer research, who actually got a Nobel Peace Prize for finding the cure for cancer in 1939. Previous to that date, we didn't have these additives in our food. So how come, since the research was done, are we now being pumped full of it in every direction we look? Why isn't anyone willing to talk about chemtrails? Why isn't anyone willing to talk about the fact that these things exist? There's actually special units being paid for out of the British public tax money to spray us and make us ill. Why isn't the Green Party banging this drum? You know, do you want me to open the computer up? There's a computer right there now. Would you like me to open the computer up and show you NASA admitting to spraying us with aluminium fragments? Would you like me to show you the British government admitting to testing germ warfare on the British public for the past 40 years? Would you like me to show you that? It's even being written about in The Guardian. The Guardian put all the declassified documents on there. So if the Green Party are unaware of these documents and trying to portray me, like the British government are, as being mad for talking about these subjects, because I haven't seen my children since the day I started a website talking about these things. So if this isn't all a big coincidence and you're not unwilling to sit there, but you're willing to say that I should produce the facts, well, I'll show you the facts right now. So you're not willing to help me with any of my past or any of this stuff, and you're not even willing to talk about the fact that we're being sprayed like flies daily. You know, I know a lot about cancer. You know, I've had a tumour growing on my neck for over 4 years, and it doesn't bother me because I know it's only once you go. No, because the doctors have signed the 1939 Cancer Act, which states in it they cannot give us any benefits or tell us any information that's truthful about cancer. It can only come from a government body, or they lose the licence and job. They have to sign that declaration the day that they get the doctor's certificate. Are you aware of that? Because I'm actually aware of that. The 1939 Cancer Act. Do you want me to get that up on the internet right now to show you that?
Yes, I would like to see that one. Because I really think if you believe that's a cancerous growth on your neck, you should get that seen to.
Why?
I'm quite happy to see that. Because they can take a sample of that, test whether it's made of cancer, and take it out from you.
Cancer doesn't kill you. Everybody's got cancer inside it. All cancer is just your body sweating the dirt out. You know what I mean? That's all cancer is. Magnesium and aluminium fragments react to each other in the body and cause chemical reaction, and it makes them swell. And that's what cancer is. That's why chemtrails are so important, because if you look into chemtrails, we're being sprayed with a lot of different types of metal fragments which react once they're inside the human body. And this is creating false cancer. This is creating false cancer, and every doctor knows that if you eat microwave food, you've got a higher chance of cancer. True, isn't it? Because it's radioactive, a microwave. So why are they putting people in a big microwave to try and treat the cancer that's being caused through microwaves? Because that's all chemotherapy is. You know, bear in mind, the reason why I want to talk about cancer this week is a good friend of mine, Nan, was being in hospital for less than a week, diagnosed with cancer, and within less than a week of being in hospital, in Liverpool City Hospital, she's ended up dying. In less than a week of finding out. But how many people have you ever heard of dying of cancer that they haven't had treated, that they didn't even know existed? Have you ever heard of anyone found dead in a bed with cancer that they didn't know they had? Have you ever heard of that? Because I haven't. I can't personally say.
What took her to the hospital in the first place?
Because she was just feeling down, because the amount of hormones and stuff like that were being sprayed with from these germ warfare tests, what I've just been telling you about from
so
what the Ministry of Defence.
She might be feeling down because she was ill?
Yeah, well, she is ill because of the stuff she's being sprayed with. Because the stuff she's being sprayed with is making it ill.
Cancer?
I'm not too sure, because as you can see, it's been less than a week before that she was in hospital to be dying.
Did they not say that it was maybe liver cancer?
Well, I haven't been to see the family personally. I've spoke to him over the internet.
That would be interesting to find out.
Well, it will be interesting to find out, but that, before I've done all the research, I thought I'd come and give you the opportunity to see whether the Green Party want to talk about these issues, and why a normal man like me, whilst I've been dealing with all these issues, has been able to get to the bottom of this stuff. Why yourself and people like Tom haven't? You know, why aren't you doing this research? If I can do all this research in the space of 10 minutes and prove the British government have declassified documents admitting that they're spraying us with germs to create germ warfare, and I can show you that right now, as I've offered a few times, and the NASA are saying that they're spraying us with aluminium and loads of different metal particles.
Okay. So are you asking me as your ward councillor to deal with chemtrails, or are you asking me as a member of the Green Party, or are you asking me as...
I'm asking you as a ward councillor for the Liverpool constituents, which has got the highest cancer rate in Europe, right? Why you aren't banging this drum, and why the Green Party aren't looking at this on a national level?
I will research.
You know,
I will ask them.
Because for the past 2 years I've been diverted to talking about all this stuff, because they're trying to stop me from publishing some books and stuff like that. Right. So now that I've got to the bottom of that, I've basically proved it's just slander.
You can self-publish your book.
I have self-published. I've just published my first one. It's called A World Based on Theory. It's about the fact that we live on a flat world. You know, a flat world, and we're actually enclosed in a dome. You know, and this is why it's all a game. And like people like yourself and Tom must know about these things, because if you've been briefed about my life, you know really what's going on. And the fact that we live in a simulation very similar to the Truman Show, you know, that's the truth about it. And you know, I could show you a lot of evidence about that. You know, the fact that if the sun was in space, let's get one thing straight, if the sun was in space, it would have went out by now, wouldn't it? Because there's no oxygen in space, and you can't burn without oxygen. Plus,
that's beyond my scientific...
Well, it's not beyond my scientific knowledge. Plus, the gravity theory doesn't add up, because the gravity theory, if the world spins at a rate, gravity would only work on the equator. You know, and this is what like, they're trying to get me to run around screaming like a madman, talking about my past. I don't want to talk about my past. I want to see my children. I want to talk about what's really being hidden by the Green Party, by Labour, by all these parties, because the British government isn't even owned by the British people, is it? Let's be honest. The British government's owned by the Bank of England. The Bank of England have the right to take away any member of an MP. Or if you have a disagreement with them, you know what I mean? They have the right to lobby against the MP or to lobby against the Prime Minister. The Bank of England's actually owned by the Rothschild family. It's a private company, as the British government's paid for out of. It's a lie. Everything we are sitting here doing is a lie, and people like yourself seem to know what's going on, because if you didn't, you would be willing to go on the internet now and look into these facts. You'd be willing to, for your constituents, to say, well, do you know what? Let's deal with these issues. Cancer's being caused by our own governments spraying us but you don't seem to be a bit concerned, you know what I mean? So
have you been on to
I've been on to everyone, as you can see, you know what I mean? As you can see, I've been on to everyone.
Well, I mean about the chemtrails.
They're actually classing me, as you can read that, they're classing me as a terrorist for talking about these things. They're trying to make out that I'm a terrorist and that, I'll sit there on YouTube watching gun videos of people getting shooting. What are they on about? I don't talk about none of this stuff. I talk about chemtrails, flat earth,
so in terms of
fake medicines.
Are you in touch with like chemtrail groups across the country?
Well, I was, yeah, but as you can probably see, everything I do, I get slandered for. So over the past 2 years, I've kind of sat back and thought, well, I'm not going to join any group. I'm going to publicly slander everyone, and I'm going to keep doing stuff like this day in, day out. And let's see who want to step up and do what's right, what's morally right, not what the job entitles them to do.
No,
let's see.
Let's talk about part of a bigger group.
But it doesn't matter about the bigger group. You're a member of.
More power.
You've got more power than me. You've got more power than me to lobby. You can't even lobby for me to see my children when I've got a court order here. I have got the only court order here, and you can't even enforce that. So what's the point in me
lobbying? We don't
lobbying?
have a legal right to do that.
You do have a legal obligation to me. As my ward councillor, you have a legal obligation to me.
If you can get a solicitor who can tell you exactly.
I don't need a solicitor. I don't need a solicitor. A solicitor's only needed in a courtroom if you can't deal with the issues yourself. I can deal with these issues myself. I'm fighting the full British justice system on myself here.
Yeah.
So bear in mind, my last solicitor, I've got my last solicitor recorded working with the police. I've got my last solicitor recorded, as I told you previous, I've got my last solicitor passing a death threat on from the police and the government saying if I don't stop talking about chemtrails and flat earth and stuff like that they're going to try and kill me. I had to sack him in front of the judge. I've got all that recorded and I've got all the paperwork that proves all of that. So I just don't understand, like, where do we start here? Because I'm the only innocent one in all this. Because if you're a Green Party councillor and you're unwilling to talk about any of these issues, what's got me into this trouble, and plus you're not willing to deal with the real issues, the fact that legally the British government and people like yourself should be investigating why they can't find any trace of my adoption. But yeah,
can I just have what's this one?
You know, that's from the after adoption charity. You can't know.
This should enable us to one way or another reorder. And what happened after?
Well, she phoned me last week. She still hasn't had a response off them. She said it's normally a response within 7 to 14 days.
Details?
You're more than happy to take her details. You know, I just don't understand why all these things. You know, can you not look into where these recordings keep going missing, or where these CCTV keep going missing? You know, because
I think because
I am being illegally treated by the British justice system here, and you're my ward councillor, so you've got an obligation to help me in these matters. And for some reason, I don't know why you won't, but everyone seems to make out that I'm violent and I'm aggressive, but you know, I'm passionate. There's a big difference, and like I don't understand how people like yourself and people like Tom can't have the same passion as me, because I'm not a Green Party activist. I'm just a dad that's got wrapped up in all this fighting for justice, and so in order to fight for my justice, I've had to talk about all these things, to prove like how corrupt and how abusive this system is. You know, it's no coincidence, is it? You know, do you want me to get paperwork out that shows you my children were actually abused while they were under the court orders from Liverpool City Court? You saw that, didn't you? That the fact that she was took to the Rainbow Clinic, the fact that, you know, my mother Mary committed fake suicide, and that's how like it's come to the point now where I'm just stopped caring what people think. I'm just having fun with it now. You know, and that's all it is. And unless people like yourself are willing to step out from the system you're protecting and are willing to do these green issues which are vastly important, like chemtrails is one of the major threats to life on Earth today, I just don't see why you're even claiming this. Well, what's a ward councillor's wage? Is it 52,000 a year, or is it 74, or I don't know, but you have a vast...
Oh my goodness, no, that might be an MP's
MPs,
wage.
yeah,
I don't know.
It's a lot more than these ladies in the library get, isn't it, though, you know what I mean? Plus you get expenses, you know what I mean?
Well,
these ladies in the library, every time I come in here, the way I see these deal with members of the public, you know, why can't these be councillors? Because they do an awful lot better job. I see them look after people and like know everyone on a personal level every time I come in and out.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, every time I see Tom, he blanks me. I've seen Tom over the past couple of weeks, and every time I see him, he blanks me. He won't even say hello to me.
Right.
You know, I had to confront him the other day. He actually come in here the other day and hid from me when he see me. He actually come in and hid round the back. So I went outside and pretended that I'd gone and waited for him to walk up, and I had to publicly shame him and say, you know, if you want to treat me like this, I'll get all the paperwork out to prove that you're hiding child abuse, because that technically is what's doing. As you've just said on record before, you've seen the letters which prove my children were abused in care, were not looked after and were neglected, and were taken to the sexual health survey to see if they'd been abused by foster parents after a year of me making complaints. So
that'll be why it happened, because of your complaints.
Hang on. So my children were abused because of my complaints.
No, they would have been investigated.
No, it weren't.
No,
it weren't.
So your
no, it weren't.
No, it weren't.
You
just told me that they've just been investigated.
My child was took to my child was took to a doctor's surgery. Yeah. When the doctor took one look at the condition that my child was in, she phoned the police and social services on the foster care. There's been no review, there's been no investigation into all this.
The fact that she phoned the police meant she was concerned.
The doctor went through my complaints. It went through my complaints. It went through my complaints. At the time, it was through the doctor's complaint, because the condition that my child turned up with the foster parents. At this time, it was actually the 11th of November. I was sat in a courtroom being accused of being abusive to members of social services and of being a bit abusive to everyone in the system. And as we sat there, the judge gets an emergency phone call, and the emergency phone call was backing up every word what I'd been abusive about the fact that my child was being neglected. And the judge ordered for me to leave the courtroom there and then and go to sit in the Rainbow Clinic in Alderey Hospital to see whether my child had to have a sexual health survey to see if she'd been abused by foster parents after a year's worth of complaints by me. So you know.
Successful then?
No, it weren't successful. It was only successful because a random doctor decided to do what was morally right. So it had nothing to do with the thing, and I still had no outcome to that, and I'm still being led down a bad path.
What was the proof in the end?
What was the proof in the end?
Yeah.
Of which?
Of the child, was she?
Well, there was no proof because it all got swept under the carpet. It all got swept under the carpet, as everything does, as this court order seems to be getting swept under the carpet, as like these things all keep going missing from 999 call records, as CCTV every time I go to a courtroom. Bear in mind, I was in one courtroom on trial for supposedly kicking off in another courtroom, but both sets of CCTV went missing. I just don't understand what's going on and why.
I don't understand that either.
So why are you refusing to help me? Why are you not concerned that my children, and now with this lady who I've got a court order stating she shouldn't be with, they can only be with as long as the father commits to staying part of the family? How come no one seems to be concerned about this issue?
This was 2010. What happened?
It doesn't matter what date it was. Well, I know people who are doing life in jail, love, and they were put in there in 1998. Does that mean we should let them all free?
No.
So therefore, it doesn't matter the date, does it? The date doesn't matter.
Are there any rulings to say otherwise between 2010 and now?
No, there is not. I've asked Tom for a copy of those rulings. The government ombudsman keep making out that there is another court order, and people in the government trying to make out. I've asked Tom for a copy of it, and he can't produce it. He can't produce it because there isn't been no court. There's been no court case. So why aren't you willing to stand out and help a member of your constituents?
Well, if you say Tom's been trying to get hold of one, then he is.
No, he isn't. No, the last email he sent me said, sorry, but we cannot help you any further.
Well, that could be the case. It could be that we've come to the end of our powers with this.
Well, aren't you meant to go up the ladder? Isn't this the whole point of having ward counsellors and open surgeries?
Yes,
so why aren't you putting me in touch with directly? Because you can see that I'm not at fault in any of this.
But you have direct contact with these people.
So now why can't you vouch and say one of my constituents is being misused by a lot of different members of the government? So why can't you get the Justice Minister involved directly? Why can't you get the Family Liaisons Minister involved directly? Why? Because that's the job of a ward counsellor, isn't it? When they come across problems, they're meant to go up the ladder.
That things of this level are actually the problem of
what level? I'm only
local MP.
My local MP is hiding from me. My local MP is hiding from me. Louise Hellman won't speak to me. She won't even respond. She won't even respond to my emails.
See, maybe I should contact her and find out
why she won't. Why haven't you done for the past 7 months? Because you've had all these details for 7 months. No. 7 months ago I come in here and I pleaded with you and I give you copies of every bit of information, and you still haven't done a thing. But you know,
not that we haven't done anything. I was in touch with Liverpool City Council.
And Liverpool City Council, can you tell me under what law Liverpool City Council are refusing to liaise with me under? Because they're refusing to speak to me. They have got no legal right not to tell me whether they're in contact with my children. They've got no legal right, but they've point blank refused.
They did get in touch with you.
And I've CC'd on. Well, I've got the full email conversation here. Would you like me to get it out and read every bit of it? I can get it out here. I've got the full email. You know, as you can see.